Puppy's First Steps: The Whole Dog Approach to Raising a Happy, Healthy, Well-Behaved Puppy, by the faculty of the Cummings School of Veterinary Medicine at Tufts University. Edited by Nicholas Dodman, BVMS, MRCVS, with Lawrence Lindner. Narrated by James Boles. Copyright 2007 by Tufts University. This unabridged audiobook is published by arrangement with Tufts University and was produced in the year 2007 by Tantor Media Incorporated, which holds the copyright thereto. Preface. Each year, 13 million households in the United States adopt a dog, often a puppy. They love dogs and, like you, finally make the decision to raise one and enjoy the special kind of companionship only a dog can bring. The next year, half of those households surrender their young canine charges to shelters and pounds, where most of them are put to sleep. Clearly, there's a gap between the wanting and the doing, a hole that needs to be filled. That's why we wrote this book, to get you and your puppy off to the best start so that you'll enjoy many happy years together, developing the kind of bond you always hoped for and that your puppy deserves. Our experience has shown us that the first 12 months of a dog's life is the time her owners most need recommendations and guidance on health and deportment. We're in a good position to know, and to know what new dog owners need to hear. Each year, nearly 20,000 people bring their dogs to see us at our hospital for small animals, providing us with one of the largest canine caseloads in the country, which in turn affords us an incredible opportunity to learn exactly the kind of advice puppy owners need and how best to communicate it. We have among us some of the world's most celebrated veterinarians doing the communicating. Housed in various facilities on our 585-acre campus in Grafton, Massachusetts, is a team of patent-winning, premier veterinary practitioners and investigators who combine practical clinical programs with cutting-edge research to bring together the best in health care and behavior. Consider, for instance, that our nutrition faculty is often consulted by the pet industry in designing new diets for dogs, in health, in the face of disease, during growth, and during maintenance. Our emergency critical care program is the largest residency training program in the country. And we use some of the most refined equipment anywhere for diagnostic imaging of puppies, including an MRI, a spiral CT scanner, quantitative EEG, ultrasound, and nuclear imaging technology. All of these advances allow us to understand as much as possible about the conditions we treat. We also practice preventive medicine so that painful, debilitating, and costly diseases can be avoided, or at least attenuated down the line. But Tufts doesn't specialize only in expensive medical diagnostics and preventive medicine techniques. We have also identified the best choices for general health care maintenance, everything from spaying and neutering to vaccinations, grooming, and flea and tick prevention. Then, too, humane care of small domestic animals is our priority. Tufts is one of the few institutions in the country that study human-animal relations. We even run a bereavement hotline for pet owners, so we know what works for the best people-dog relationships. And we have a behavior clinic that's second to none. Its approach is not hardline or punishment-based. Rather, it is holistic, based on understanding, canine lifestyle enrichment, and positive reinforcement of desired deportment. Our experience has demonstrated that dogs behave better and more consistently when they are rewarded for their good actions rather than punished for their bad ones. It's a paradigm shift from the approach still put forth by a number of popular schools of dog training and espoused in numerous dog care books, even though that shift should have taken place throughout the training community 100 years ago. At the beginning of the 1900s, psychologist Edward Thorndike showed that you could teach a dog and a number of other species a lot more by rewarding the right response than by punishing the wrong one. Positive reinforcement works more quickly and more effectively over the long term. Nonetheless, 9 out of 10 dogs whose owners bring them to us to help correct behavior problems have been through hard knocks training in their puppy classes, punishment-based tactics using choke or prong collars, or worse, methods that were first employed to get military dogs to perform essential maneuvers during World War II, and then, unfortunately, brought into the civilian dog training arena. A lot of people bring their dogs to our offices in those very instruments of torture, meaning to do the right thing, yet feeling bad about the pain they have been inflicting. Owners don't need to feel bad any longer. Punishment, aside from making a puppy anxious and miserable, teaches a dog nothing other than how to avoid punishment. There's nothing learned about what goes into positive interactions between a person and a pup, and how the two can get a mutually beneficial relationship going. In fact, once you begin with punishment tactics, you have to keep punishing to keep getting the desired response, which only breaks down the human-canine bond even more. The bottom line here, you can get a lot more out of a puppy with a carrot than with a stick. Thus, if hitting a dog with a newspaper, pinning him on his back, or bopping him under the chin as methods of training all feel wrong to you, your instincts are right, and you've come to the right place. We're not saying your pup doesn't need firmness, but inflictions of physical pain are not simply corrections as they are sometimes euphemistically called. They are abuse. We'll tell you instead what you need to do to keep your dog happy as you teach him to be well behaved. Follow our recommendations, and your canine companion will go through life not only healthy and content, but also easy to get along with. The kind of pet you like having around, and that others will be well disposed toward too. Good feelings from others will only enrich the relationship between you and your dog that much more. Your role will not be insignificant. Proper puppy rearing takes commitment, but the return on what you put into the process during that first year will be immeasurable for years and years to come. Part 1. Before the Puppy Comes Home. Chapter 1. How to Select a Puppy. Why get a puppy? There are at least as many reasons as there are stages of life. Empty nesters may want to care for a cute little creature in the absence of their children. A young couple wanting to delay starting a family might act on their nurturing instinct. A young or older adult who's single may seek the companionship afforded by a canine friend. And parents of small children may decide to give in to mommy, I want a puppy entreaties. They're all valid reasons, and there are plenty of others. But why a puppy? One reason is that with a pup you're getting raw material, so to speak. You were part of the molding experience. Also, if you're the puppy's primary caretaker pretty much from the beginning, your relationship will have an intimacy, a specialness that you can't quite get with a dog that has been in someone else's home for much of her life. Your homegrown bond of understanding and communication will be as deep as possible. Then, too, there's no denying that puppies are adorable. Eyes bigger than a teddy bear's, tiny bodies, round, flattish faces. Who doesn't love holding a baby? The thing is, that little puffball is going to turn into a real dog one day, and your aim is to be in it for the long haul, so you want to base your choice on more than initial attraction. Unfortunately, a decision based solely on superficial beauty is the way many people choose their dogs. It often comes down to not much more than the qualities like soulful chocolate pudding eyes or soft hair. But bringing home a puppy is not like casual dating, where people often choose who to go out with based largely on their blonde hair or dark eyes or good physique, knowing that they can easily move on if it doesn't work out. Choosing a dog is a decision that's going to stay with you for the next 10 to 15 years. You need to consider who the dog is inside, warm or aloof, calm or jittery, easygoing or domineering. That is, you need to give some thought to the puppy's temperament and to whether she would get along with children, whether she looks as though she is going to develop a high-maintenance personality, and so on. After all, you wouldn't spend 10 to 15 years, or longer, with somebody simply because the person has the right look. Don't get us wrong. Big, longing eyes and a pretty coat are great qualities in a dog. They're just not enough on their own to carry the two of you through the next decade and a half together. There's much more you need to consider, not just about the dog, but about yourself. For instance, are you outdoorsy or indoorsy? Do you have young children? Would you be bothered by having to brush a dog often, both for her own sake and your furniture's? Do you want a dog who will wait calmly for you in your small apartment all day while you go off to the office, or one who would prefer riding around with you in the back of a pickup truck and then romping around on your job site, a lumber yard perhaps, or a landscape garden nursery? And just how exuberant a creature do you want your canine friend to be? There are even more questions than these, and more than 150 breeds recognized by the American Kennel Club, plus mixed breeds, making the task of selecting a dog seem daunting. It's not. There is a distinct and systematic series of considerations to go through when choosing your new puppy, including where to get the dog and what questions to ask of people who have been taking care of her. The cost of upkeep, potential medical problems that might crop up down the line, exercise requirements of particular types of dogs, and grooming requirements. Dog ownership brings better health. By taking the dive and going from thinking about buying a new puppy to opting to bring one home, you're joining the ranks of more than 1 in 3 American households that currently enjoy all the benefits dog ownership can bring. Those benefits don't include just close companionship and unqualified love. There are physical advantages, too. It has been shown that people who own a dog walk more than others, for obvious reasons, and that dog owners enjoy lower blood pressure, between petting episodes as well as during, which can reduce the risk for heart disease. By one estimate, owning a pet can decrease heart disease mortality by 3%, which translates to tens of thousands of lives saved annually. Not surprisingly, acquiring a dog also decreases feelings of loneliness and isolation, and works as both a preventive and therapeutic measure against everyday stress. In fact, dog owners report better psychological well-being in general. Purebred or mixed breed. One of the first decisions you'll need to make is whether to get a purebred dog or a mixed breed, commonly referred to as a mutt. Buying a purebred assures you that your puppy will grow up to look a certain way. Think collie or Dalmatian or poodle, and a certain picture immediately comes to mind. It's also relatively easy to buy a purebred dog as a brand new puppy, so you know where the dog has been and can assess how she has been treated from the start. Then, too, many breeds tend to have certain personality traits, which help predict what they will be like as they grow older. For instance, there's a fair chance that an Akita will be on the naturally protective side, while terriers are often strong-minded, highly focused, and of medium trainability, and Labrador retrievers generally will get along well with children, but need a fair amount of physical activity. But there's a lot of variation within any breed. It's like ethnicity. You might assume that someone from a Latin culture has a hot and fiery temperament, and that someone from Scandinavia is certain to be reserved and aloof. But there are plenty of shy and retiring Argentinians, just as there are warm and bubbly Norwegians. At the same time, pure does not automatically equate with better. No humans are more purebred than royalty. We can trace their lineage back hundreds of years. But despite their impeccable papers, plenty of royalty would make for lousy loved ones. They cheat on their spouses, engage in profligate spending, and exhibit a willful disregard for others. So it goes with dogs. Buying a certain breed offers no guarantee that the dog will be a suitable companion. Take the German Shepherd. Most German Shepherds make great family pets, but anxious lines exist, and perhaps because of this trait, the breed is frequently ranked number 1 for bites. Conversely, chows, who also rank high on the bite parade, can be indifferent and independent, reluctant to play. But with the right training, you can jolly a lot of chows out of their funk, making them more amiable, and even bringing out in them a veritable joie de vivre. Consider, too, that what a breed is like is something of a moving target. Cocker Spaniels, originally a reliably sweet breed, have been so overbred that many now have a nippy, unfriendly streak, making a number of them less than ideal family dogs. Conversely, Doberman Pinscher breeders have been successful at breeding away from aggressiveness over the last 15 years. Just as buying a purebred puppy isn't the sure bet many people assume it is, getting a mixed breed comes with benefits that often go underappreciated. Granted, if you get a dog at a shelter, it can be hard to find out what her life was like before you met her, so you're a bit in the dark on nurture as well as nature. But unlike purebred dogs, mixes are generally less prone to particular diseases. For instance, German Shepherds are at increased risk for hip dysplasia. Dachshunds struggle with herniated discs in the lower back, and Pomeranians are prone to collapsing tracheas. A Heinz 57 of a dog has less chance of inheriting a predisposition toward any one illness or condition. To use an automobile analogy, a purebred is akin to a Ferrari, and a mutt is more like a commonplace sedan. The fancy sports car may look great and may tear down the road with amazing speed and control, but it's more temperamental, if you will. Things tend to go wrong rather frequently, and when something does, it's hard to find a mechanic who can deal with it. The car may also prove very expensive to fix. A middle-of-the-road sedan, on the other hand, might not be as flashy or fast, but it could be more dependable and more easily fixed in the event of a problem, and it will probably get better mileage. Aggressive or predatory tendencies may also be attenuated in a mixed breed. A dog who comes from diverse genetic stock has a reasonable shot at not being terribly jittery or distant or willful, because there are too many competing personality traits for any one of them to necessarily take center stage. The upfront cost of a mix versus a purebred dog counts too. Mixed breeds are generally free or close to it, while purebreds often run as high as $500 to $1,000 and sometimes higher. In other words, there's a lot to be said for mixed breeds, which makes for a lot of high-quality adoptable pups and older dogs at local shelters and pounds. That said, some people still have their hearts set on a certain breed. Here's a rundown so you can at least get a sense of whether a particular breed has a reasonable chance of being a good fit in your home. The breed groups. There are, by some accounts, roughly 400 dog breeds altogether, but the American Kennel Club currently recognizes only 160 breeds. The number tends to fluctuate a bit. While even that may sound like a lot, there are only 7 breed groups. and the breeds within each group frequently share general characteristics based on the traits for which the dogs in the group were originally bred, so you don't need to memorize 160 sets of character traits to choose a puppy. Just getting a sense of which breeds belong to which groups in the following American Kennel Club list will give you an idea of what the breeds are like on the inside. Along with going over general breed characteristics, we include here some notes about certain specific breeds. The length of this book precludes our commenting on each and every breed listed, but you'll get a close-up sense of some of the popular breeds available. Note that in general, small breeds live longer than medium-sized breeds. Medium-sized breeds live longer than large ones, and large breeds live longer than giant breeds. For instance, a toy poodle might live as long as 15 years, while a Great Dane may live for only about 6 years, and a St. Bernard for 8. That's true for mutts, too. The larger the dog, the shorter her lifespan will tend to be. Thus, one of the things you want to think about is how often you can bear the pain of losing a beloved pet. Those who choose very large dogs are going to grieve more often. Sporting group. Generally low on aggression and reactivity and high on trainability. It's no surprise that dogs from the sporting group are generally said to make good family pets and faithful companions. Sporting dogs also tend to be physically insensitive, relatively speaking, which makes them good bets if you have small children who might pet them too hard or otherwise treat them too aggressively. But they also do best with a high level of physical activity. They were originally bred to work alongside people, hunting down prey and so forth. Making them sit around alone at home all day while the family goes off to work and school is akin to making an Olympic athlete spend his or her life at a desk job. Note on specific breeds. Chesapeake Bay Retrievers should in general be thought of more as guard dogs than easygoing family dogs. They require strong leadership. And both Labrador Retrievers and Golden Retrievers are big-time shedders who require a lot of grooming. You'll either be spending a lot of time brushing out the dog or washing your slipcovers and avoiding dark clothing. Be aware that there are some aggressive strains of Golden Retriever around these days, and they appear on some bite lists. The old-fashioned All-American Golden is by no means a thing of the past, but choosing a Golden does not guarantee an easy pet to have around. Springers, as well as Cockers, come in aggressive flavors too. Temperament testing is crucial. The following breeds are members of the sporting group: Golden Retriever, American Water Spaniel, Gordon Setter, Brittany, Irish Setter, Chesapeake Bay Retriever, Irish Water Spaniel, Clumber Spaniel, Labrador Retriever, Cocker Spaniel, Nova Scotia Duck-Tolling Retriever, Curly-Coated Retriever, Pointer, English Cocker Spaniel, Spinone Italiano, English Setter, Sussex Spaniel, English Springer Spaniel, Vizsla, Field Spaniel, Weimaraner, Flat-Coated Retriever, Welsh Springer Spaniel, German Short-Haired Pointer, Wire-Haired Pointing Griffon, German Wire-Haired Pointer. Hound Group. Whereas a sporting dog would play frisbee back and forth with you, dogs from the hound group would rather find the frisbee. They're hardwired for chasing via movement, sight hounds, or smell, scent hounds. They're also less interested in human family structure than sporting dogs, and less likely to look to their leaders for approbation. That makes them relatively tough to train. If a sight hound sees movement, she's off and running. If a scent hound smells something interesting, she'll be much more inclined to follow the scent than to listen to your command to get back to the car. But because of a hound's relatively independent nature, they might have an easier time staying home alone than sporting dogs, especially if you're willing to own two of them. A dog's dog, a hound particularly enjoys being in a pack with members of her own species. Hounds also make good fits with strong leaders who like outdoor activities, hiking and so forth, and less than perfect fits for those interested in a cuddly, clingy relationship. Notes on specific breeds. Retired greyhounds often make great family pets. They tend to be gentle and obedient, and contrary to popular belief, don't require much exercise. Afghans have mega grooming requirements, and beagles need a fair amount of grooming as well. Don't consider getting either of these breeds unless you're prepared for a lot of brushing. And except for Basenjis, hounds in general can do a fair amount of yodeling or barking. If your upstairs neighbor is finicky about noise, a hound may not be the way to go. The following breeds are members of the hound group: Harrier, Afghan Hound, Ibiza Hound, American Foxhound, Irish Wolfhound, Basenji, Norwegian Elk Hound, Basset Hound, Otter Hound, Beagle, Petite Basset Griffon Vendéen, Black and Tan Coonhound, Pharaoh Hound, Bloodhound, Rhodesian Ridgeback, Borzoi, Saluki, Dachshund, Scottish Deerhound, English Foxhound, Whippet, Greyhound. Working Group. If you want a huggy, kissy dog who's going to sit in your lap, a canine from the working group is not it. Akitas were bred to hunt bears, deer, and wild boar. Alaskan Malamutes were bred to drag sleds. Rottweilers are among the top 3 breeds for lethal attacks, and boxers, who have super high energy, are particularly hard to get under control, all made worse by the fact that boxers are generally clumsy. Chows and Siberian Huskies, too, are hard to train. They can be somewhat aloof. In other words, working dogs are tough and potentially very aggressive. It's fair to say that having a dog from the working group is a bit like having a small pony. Her sheer size makes grooming no small task, so you have to have the patience for it. Working dogs can also be expensive to keep, if for no other reason than that they require more food than smaller dogs. Very tall human adults are only about 30% larger than short ones. Restaurants don't need to serve 2 different size portions, but the difference between a large dog from the working group and a small one from another group would be like the difference between a person who is 2 feet tall and one who is 9 feet tall. The difference in dog food money could easily add up to hundreds of dollars per year, an important consideration for a dog owner on a tight budget. At the same time, dogs from this group make great guard dogs and tend to be loyal. But you've got to be a strong leader. If you don't lead, the dog will. These pets are not for novice dog owners. Notes on specific breeds. St. Bernards are the biggest droolers of all breeds, with Great Pyrenees and Newfoundlands not far behind. The slobbering can be unpleasant, and Portuguese water dogs need frequent grooming. They don't shed much, which is nice, but because they don't shed a lot, their hair becomes matted, smelly, and itchy, causing them discomfort unless they receive professional grooming care. The following breeds are members of the working group: Greater Swiss Mountain Dog, Akita, Commodore, Alaskan Malamute, Kuvaz, Anatolian Shepherd Dog, Mastiff, Bernese Mountain Dog, Neapolitan Mastiff, Black Russian Terrier, Newfoundland, Boxer, Portuguese Water Dog, Bull Mastiff, Rottweiler, Doberman Pinscher, Saint Bernard, German Pinscher, Samoyed, Giant Schnauzer, Siberian.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?